Hello, my name is Nick Radlevich, and I will be discussing today comparative and absolute advantages, information from Chapter 3. We're starting out with absolute advantage. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at this table, and we're going to say that two countries are going to trade two goods. So we'll just say the US and Spain are going to be trading two goods, just say wheat and DVDs. Using all of their resources, or the maximum amount that they can produce, let's say that the US can produce in one day 100 bushels of wheat, or they could produce 50 DVDs. In Spain, let's say that they could only produce 75 bushels of wheat and 25 DVDs in one day. When using absolute advantage, we're going to look at just the sheer number of what each country could produce. So we're just looking at the columns, saying in wheat, the US has absolute advantage because 100 is greater than 75. US also has absolute advantage in DVDs because 50 is greater than 25. Since the US has absolute advantage in both goods, there's no reason to trade. Now, if the numbers were switched around, for let's just say Spain, and they were actually able to produce 25 bushels of wheat and 75 DVDs, then we see that the countries are different. US still has absolute advantage in wheat because 100 is greater than 25, but Spain now has absolute advantage in DVDs. Since now each country has one good of absolute advantage, they're able to trade. They can specialize in one of those, each good. So Spain will specialize in DVDs, US will specialize in wheat, and they will produce as much good as they can, come to agreement on what terms of trade they can do, especially as they specialize in each of their individual goods and trade them across. Now for comparative advantage. We're going to use the same example that we did before with 150 for US and 75 and 25 for Spain. In comparative advantage, we no longer are going to use this table and specifically for the numbers that we're going to look at. Instead, what we're going to compute is each country's opportunity cost. Each country's opportunity cost is basically saying if you wanted to produce one more of a specific good, let's say that if you were producing 50 and 25 goods, or 50 wheat and 25 DVDs, and you wanted to produce one more DVD, you would have to give up some amount of wheat in order to produce another DVD. And that's what we're going to compare is in your opportunity cost. So a simple way to do that is computing within each country. 50 over 100. Meaning that if you wanted to produce one more wheat, you would give up 50 over 100 or 1/2 DVD. Same thing if we're looking at the other one, we'll just do the reciprocal of it and do 100 over 50 and say that if you want to produce one more DVD, you got to give up 2 wheat. Looking at the same thing for Spain, do 25 over 75. In producing wheat, you have one more wheat, you have to give up 1/3 of a DVD. And the reciprocal of that, 75 over 25 gets you 3 wheat. Now that we have our opportunity cost table filled out, we can now compare these numbers. Which number is higher and lower? In this case, we're going to actually want the lower one because it costs less, for your opportunity cost. So we're going to compare 1/2 to 1/3. Seeing that 1/3 is less than 1/2, you're giving up less. Spain is giving up less than the US in producing one more DVD. So therefore, Spain has absolute advantage in wheat. Same thing with the DVD column. We see that 2 is less than 3. So that way, US will have the opportunity or the comparative advantage in DVDs. So again, now that they have one has a comparative advantage over another, we can say that yes, there will be a trade. This will almost always guarantee to be opportunity cost comparatively will mean comparative advantage will work in trade. But now, how much are we going to trade between each country? The easy way to look at that is looking at your opportunity cost table again. So what I like to do is I look at the more round numbers between 2 and 3 for DVDs. So if I wanted to produce one more DVD, I would then have to give up between 2 or 3 wheat in order to get this. So let's say 1 wheat for 2 to 3. No, sorry, one DVD for every 2 to 3 bushels of wheat. And you can produce any scalar amount of this as you want. Generally, you're going to want to produce somewhere in the middle to make both sides happy. So let's say that we're going to produce, if we wanted to produce 10 DVDs, we could trade it for 25 things of wheat, or anything in between there. Now that we know who has comparative advantage for these goods, we will look at the terms of trade. So, looking at our PPF curves, or our possible production frontier, we will see that the 2 points, A and B, are what each country is currently producing. The US will produce 25 wheat and 35 DVDs. Spain will produce 46 wheat and 10 DVDs. Since we already figured out from our opportunity costs, we will trade 10 DVDs for 25 wheat. So what we start out with is that the US will only specialize in one good, which was DVDs, because they had the comparative advantage, and it will produce no wheat. Spain, on the other hand, will produce no DVDs and will specialize in wheat at 75. Within the terms of trade, we'll just do our simple addition and subtraction, saying that you'll trade 1 for 1. So we're going to lose 10 DVDs, but gain 25 wheat. Spain will gain 10 DVDs, but lose 25 wheat. So overall, the US will now have 40 DVDs and 25 wheat, while Spain has 10 DVDs and 50 wheat. Adding these up, overall, the world's production is still the same. We're still going to have 50 DVDs and 75 wheat because of what we specialize. We're not losing anything. But we are actually gaining, because looking up at the world points between A and B of what they were producing before, we were only producing 71 wheat and 45 DVDs. Now we are producing 75 wheat and 50 DVDs. So as a world standpoint, you're actually producing more. Because of specialization, we're gaining 4 bushels of wheat and 5 DVDs as a whole because of specialization. This is also true between each country, and we could look at that by saying from the point 2540 compared to 2535, the US will gain all 5 DVDs. And in the terms of wheat, we originally had 10 and 10 DVDs, but now instead of 46, we have 50. So the wheat is gained by Spain. This is showing that through comparative advantage, you are able to gain more than you could have produced before. You're using more than your allocated resources in the country that you can actually produce points outside of your PPF curve. And that's the end of this video.